Hello everyone and welcome to another deck profile, and today we're gonna be talking about turtles, Terapagos EX. First of all, let's check out the deck list. For our Pokemon, we have 3 Terapagos EX, we have 4 Hoothoot, we have 3 Noctowl, we have 3 Duskull, we have 2 Dusknoir, we have 1 Spiritomb, 1 Fezandipiti EX, 1 Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX, 2 Fan Rotom, 1 Pidgey, and 1 Pidgeot EX. For our items, we have 4 Buddy Puffin, we have 4 Nest Ball, we have 4 Rare Candies, we have 3 Ultra Ball, we have 3 Night Stretcher, we have 1 Counter Catcher, we have 1 Feather Ball, we have 1 Lost Vacuum. As the ace spec of choice, we're running 1 Prime Catcher and 1 Switch. We also have 3 Area Zero Underdepths. We have 2 Professor's Research. We have 2 Iono, 1 Boss's Orders, 1 Briar, 1 Colorless Tenacity, 1 Jet Energy, and 4 Double Turbo Energy. Now, let's talk a little bit about inclusions, the interesting choices in this deck, at least in my opinion. And the first one that I would like to mention is definitely the Spiritomb. Why do we have it? We have it to break the ability of Luminion and of Rotom V. Why? Because we want to disrupt opponents' setup if they rely on Pokemon V. So disruption of setup is the key in most decks, like, I don't know, Dragapult EX or Charizard EX. They are very setup reliant and they rely heavily on the basic V Pokemon. That's why we play the Spiritomb, just to kill their setup and give us a little bit more time while taking the time away from them. Another inclusion that I would like to mention, which is kind of interesting, that I figured it would be kind of smart, is the Jet Energy. Why do we have Jet Energy, you might ask? You have it just to circumvent the stall and control decks, because you have 1 switch and 1 prime catcher, and that's the only 2 switch outs that you have in the deck, and you gain another switch out with the Jet Energy. So you have 3 switch outs, which should be enough in a vast majority of stall and control decks, hopefully, preferably, if all goes well. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about matchups. The beautiful thing about Terapagos EX is that it has a very 50-50 matchup spread across all meta decks. And I know I say that in every deck profile video I've made so far, but this one really has a 50-50 matchup spread into everything, into stall, into control, into aggressive decks, into 2 prizers, into single prizers, in basically everything is either 50-50 or 60-40, but not much more than 50-50 plus minus 5% into the matchups. And yeah, I believe that out of the meta decks, the most unfavored one would definitely have to be the Regidrago V-Star, which has the ability to cure him, which snipes your bench, which is very, very unfortunate, and has the ability of the Dragapult EX, which attacks for 20 and spreads 60 onto the bench, which kind of can kill our setup as well. And yeah, therefore Dragapult EX also a very bad matchup in this deck. And one more thing to be very wary of is in the Regidrago V-Star matchup, you must not use the Colress's Tenacity supporter. No way. You keep it in the hand, you keep it in the deck, don't play it unless absolutely necessary. Why? Because Colress's Tenacity has Colress in its name, and therefore Kyurem can attack for 1 colorless energy. And that is a big, big, big problem, and we don't want that. So yeah, we keep this Colress's Tenacity away from the discard pile as long as possible in that matchup. And yeah, against Dragapult, also a very difficult matchup. You always want to go first against it. I mean, generally you want to go first, but especially in those decks that want to go first, you also want to go first even more. Why? Because you can make a brilliant setup, they go second, they start making their setup, you pop your ghosts, you attack with the Terapagos, and you just kill their setup altogether, and you just bench that Spiritomb to kill their Rotom and Luminium from using their abilities, which means they can't do much more than that. And yeah, some of the favored matchups, in my opinion, would be probably something like the heavy beatstick decks, like, I don't know, for example, Miraidon, or maybe even Goldingo is kind of favored here. And but yeah, that's very slightly favored or slightly unfavored. The only deck that I would personally be very afraid of, except for the, of course, Regidrago V-Star and the Dragapult EX, is the Palkia Dusknoir with the Greninja EX, because Greninja EX is a fighting type, and the vast majority of our Pokemon are weak to fighting, so they can just easily take 2 free prize turns without any issues, and we're just done for. And yeah, that's something to be very cautious about. And yeah, other matchups that I would deem very favored for us or very unfavored for us, there isn't any one matchup that I would even want to mention. What I do want to mention is that this deck is actually very, very complex to play. I played quite a few games, and because of the Noctowl abilities, it actually has so many paths that you can play in a certain matchup that it takes a lot of practice to get it just right, to get the perfect round, to get the perfect setup. And yeah, that's why this deck is very, very fun to play and very, very demanding as well. So I would definitely recommend it. But on the side note, I would also recommend that you don't play like 5 games and say, this deck is trash, but play a lot of games and see how your game style develops with it. So yeah, that would pretty much be it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and catch you next time.